We are so sorry. We are late. We are late. We are late. We are always punctual as fuck. You know that for a fact. Today we were not. You got us. You got us. We were late. We were late by 10 minutes. We apologize. Getting everything ready, getting everything buzzing and flying around. Information continues to fly in about the Sage Ryan injury that so many of the beat writers around Baton Rouge are reporting. Sage Ryan, he's hurt. He's got an arm thing. We already know that he is fine. He is okay. He is solid. He has confirmed that to us, as well as before he was able to confirm that to us. Sources close to the program were able to confirm that with us as well. So Sage Ryan was the only injury we had to worry about from today's scrimmage, which is what I really look at first and foremost. Just keep everyone healthy, keep everyone healthy. LSU were able to do that. Mason Smith was not risked today, was not risked. I repeat that. Jacobian Guillory was starting in lieu of Mason Smith there at defensive tackle on the defensive line. Jacobian Guillory, Mason Smith was not risked. And if you really are a subscriber to LSUODYSSEY.COM, you will have seen from our scrimmage updates where it's just update after update after update flying in of information throughout the day of the goings on the scrimmage. There was a ton of battles going on out there today. The defensive backfield that have been so ripped on, the secondary, DBU 2023, many people have been destroying. They stood up today and were awesome. I mean, they denied any explosive plays downfield, forced Jaden Daniels to really be afraid to throw it deep today. Jaden Daniels, I think, I think he threw one or two targets that had a depth over 15 to 20 yards. So something we don't want to see. We want to see Jaden Daniels taking shots down the field. We want to see Jaden Daniels trusting the receivers more and more. But at the same time, on the other side of the coin, his receivers were dropping passes today. Brian Thomas Jr. dropped 2 or 3 passes today. Matt Muscana was able to say, was someone who was able to say, hey, Brian Thomas Jr. is the guy dropping passes. I thought it was Kyron Lacey. He's able to clear that up. He was there. We'll take his word for it. Prince Malbrew, good buddy of the program. You've seen 2 interviews of Prince on this show last year and this year as well. He just did one with us last month. One of the teammates of Sage Ryan, Jordan Allen, and Fitz West, all the LCA guys on this team. Prince Malbrew, not really talked about, but had a big sack in today's scrimmage. A big sack. Another player that is hardly talked about, to the point that his name only, when it was said to me, I was like, I know that guy just because I remember his name was so wacky looking at it on the roster sheet a while back. But let me read it to you again, because I'm like, Welton Spotsville had a diving interception on Ricky Collins in this scrimmage, and also had a sack. The defensive backfield secondary were awesome. They clamped down. Andre Sam had 2 pass breakups. Sage Ryan had 2 pass breakups before the arm stinger, as it was described to me. Zy Alexander had a pass breakup while guarding Malik Neighbors, and then had a forced fumble on Mason Taylor. Zy Alexander did. Sage Ryan had a nice tackle on Mason Taylor, but it was such a nasty hit, a wham bam thank you ma'am type of hit, that both of them were down on the field for a second there in some pain. And some of the injury reports from some of the Baton Rouge media immediately after it were basically oblivion for Sage Ryan's season. Basically, it looked so bad. It looked bad. It looked bad. It looked horrible. Apparently, according to him and according to people around him, around the program, he's good. So we'll wait for Brian Kelly to be official with that injury report, but that is the information we have had and information information we have heard. But so you saw really Jaden Daniels just distributing the ball conservatively, hitting a few guys. Chris Hilton had like one catch, 11 yards. Jalen Brown had a few catches. He had 24 yards, 3 catches. Cyprien, 12 yards, one catch while catching from Ricky Collins. Colin Lacey, 9 yards, 1 catch, but had a few more targets, just could not get the ball to him. Noah Kane had a receiving touchdown, 16 rushing yards as well, had a 9 receiving yards with a 6-yard receiving touchdown. So he had a few catches there. Trey Bradford was getting the ball a few times. I think 2 6-yard runs, 2 4-yard runs, something in that territory. Trey Holly, a few rushing yards, and then had another passing target go his way. Malik Neighbors had 40 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 targets. So you saw the ball being spread around, guys getting the ball, but making it pay, making it happen with some plays here and there. But really, not a lot of anything going on. 44 passing yards from Jaden Daniels, 21 rushing yards, most coming from a 16-yard scramble. He threw 7 incompletions today. A lot of guys had pass breakups tonight, as well as just forcing the ball to be errantly thrown. Garrett Nussmeier, 104 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown. We are going to get into that in a bit. And he threw the 2 incompletions as well. Ricky Collins, 27 passing yards, 25 rushing yards for him. Sacked twice, though. Or no, sorry, is that sacked 3 times? Yeah, sacked 3 times. And he threw the interception to Welton Spotsville. Caleb Jackson, though. We said we were going to get into it later. The Nussmeier touchdown throw, here it is. Freshman Caleb Jackson, who had a few fumbles, a few rookie mistakes in fall camp, his first ever camp with LSU. Remember, he was not there in spring. He absolutely went off. He absolutely went off. Okay. He had the rushing touchdown. I think it was 17, 18 yards, something like that. It was in that range. Just a nice cut to the left and basically free lane. Okay. But then he had a 72-yard touchdown reception from Garrett Nussmeier, where Garrett Nussmeier just bulleted to him, and he made people miss. He made Deuce Chestnut miss on that tackle, and then also Jalen Brown, the receiver, had some big blocks on the outside. Really was smashing some people, smashing some fools to clear that path. I believe one of those guys was a safety in the second level as well. So first a corner, then a safety, getting a couple guys in that block, in that sequence. Yeah, Jalen Brown, and then I believe it probably would have to be some type of tight end, Mason Taylor, out there making some big-time blocks for Caleb Jackson. But Caleb Jackson was making guys miss, mowing guys down, and just was like carrying people into the end zone. So you have a freshman that has dynamic athletic potential. His athletic profile screams Fournette. When just imagine what Jake Flint can do for him in his second off season, even what he's probably done with Caleb since he's arrived. I mean, you're seeing that potential. Over 100 combined yards today, 28 rushing, 72 receiving. Just a couple chances to make plays, and he did. I think 3 total touches, and bam. You still like what you saw from a lot of guys, though. But it's, sometimes I think this offense is way too conservative. I think this offense is way too okay, we'll give you a few touches here, we'll give you a few touches here, we'll give that guy, why don't you just feed the dude who they can't stop until they can stop him? Like Malik. why not just give him 15 catches a game if they can't stop him? Because that'll probably turn into like 250 yards. And how many times do you see an LSU team with a 200-yard receiver lose the game? How many times? Only time I can think of anything close to that was like the Terrace Marshall game against Missouri. You know, and that's just because everything was bad in 2020. Everything was going against LSU that season. But you rarely see it when you have receivers that dynamic that you continue to feed and just continue to let mow down the defense, especially when you have running backs and then you have Jaden Daniels' legs that can further just gas a defense. You have to exploit that with the passing game. What these guys can do yards after catch is just outrageous. Um, and you have to really tap into that potential or you're failing your team. And this offense, I feel, gets way too conservative. And obviously, this is a scrimmage. This is just a little helping of what they're going to do. You know, they're just wanting to kind of get the legs out from under. No one's going to get 10 plus catches for 300 yards or some bullshit, like some crazy stat line in a scrimmage. Okay, like that's not the point of scrimmage. It's literally to get everyone touches in a game type context, see what can be done. It's also about experimenting, and but I'm just trying to say that we saw too much of that in our offense last season, just during the actual season, spreading the ball around so much that we're never actually establishing a rhythm, never actually getting anything going with certain guys out wide. That's why you saw drops or Jaden Daniels throwing terrible passes, both of them going off back and forth, or Jaden Daniels just not even throwing them at all and totally misreading the situation and just going for an 8-yard run instead. His legs are so electric though. You can't tell him to stop running the football because of what those legs can do. But if Jaden Daniels can exploit these defenses first in these games and then start running the football, it's game over. You saw what Jaden Daniels did last season when he was throwing the football to LSU receivers, getting some of these guys in rhythm finally for the first time all season. You finally started seeing it. And then when he started running the football, that's when LSU hit their stride last season. Florida, Ole Miss, Alabama, those wins right there. Boom, 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 boom. That was kind of that's that little window into that. And then you look at the Georgia and Tennessee games. I know those are losses, but Jaden Daniels put up really good passing numbers against Georgia and against Tennessee. Against Georgia, he was hurt. He was kind of forced to throw the football. And I really wonder, had he been able to run in that game, what could have happened? Because Georgia, they were terrible in that game. Their secondary were terrible. Defensively, they were god-awful. They allowed LSU 30 points. Both Malik Neighbors and Kayshon Boutte went for over 130 yards. Both scored. Best receiving days of the season. We absolutely toasted that secondary. But here's the thing is they already scored 50 points. But I'm just trying to say that there's so much potential here when Jaden Daniels actually throws the football. Because if he was able to run against Georgia that game, who knows what could have happened in that game. We maybe would have been able to get out of the hole we'd created with special teams errors a lot quicker with Jaden Daniels' legs. So I'm trying to make the argument that we need both parts of what Jaden Daniels can bring through the air and on the ground. But he's really got to start distributing the football to these receivers. And we've seen too much hesitancy at the end of this fall camp. Everything I've seen, and we get large film dumps. And it's not, a lot of it isn't stuff that maybe you'll be able to see from some YouTube channels and stuff like that. This is something we've had established for a few years here, and it's pretty awesome. And it's because of this that we're able to see some of this shit. And what we've been able to see is Jaden Daniels really started his fall camp in a very confident fashion. Was dropping dimes left and right. Was really like looking for guys and having no qualms, just throwing it into really tight coverage. but just putting it up, giving him a chance where it was like only they will make the play or the ball will go out of bounds. Like he was actually starting to use his safe kind of don't turn the ball over no matter what type of ethos through his elevation in the passing game. It was awesome. But as fall camp went on, we saw him start to regress in that way. I will say that. And Garrett Nussmeier started throwing bombs all over the goddamn field. Like Garrett Nussmeier was absolutely throwing unreal football downfield for guys like Brian Thomas Jr., Kylan Lacey, William Neighbors. He was doing it with everybody. Sheldon Sampson Jr., Jalen Brown. He's working with the twos. He's working with some of the ones. He's working with a lot of the threes. Nussmeier was establishing chemistry with everybody, and he was just dropping it. Like you really. I think from the best film I have seen, apart from our sources, has been the LSU Gold that have actually captured the type of passing range we've seen through fall camp from Garrett Nussmeier, where he's rolling to his left, he's rolling to his right, he's doing a spin move, he's getting around this guy, and then he just like hucks it up, and you think he's just hucking it up there, but no, he's putting it in this area, he's calculating it with touch and with timing, with precision, and just hoping and praying that's going to drop right down there, but really he knows exactly what the fuck he's doing. And he's more polished than he's ever been. At the same time, he's still continued to throw some, what the hell was that, type of interceptions or passes to nowhere because of a poor read or just a moment of a fleet of fancy, just a moment of craziness, which is what some of the great quarterbacks do, is just get too ambitious. But I'd rather have a quarterback be too ambitious than be too safe, because safe is not going to win us a national championship this season. You saw how Arkansas, you saw how A&M defended Jaden Daniels. You saw how Tennessee defended Jaden Daniels. Even though he threw for over 300 yards, he couldn't do anything with the running game or with the dual threat type game. There was no way to exploit Tennessee. I mean, the game was basically over by the time we could try and exploit them anyway. So so we can just forget about that one. But specifically, A&M and Arkansas, they shut Jaden Daniels big time down in those games. We've got to have an answer to that, and that answer to me is get Jaden Daniels moving instantly, have him rolling out of the pocket, and then he's got to be head downfield, because you're going to immediately have that defense just suck upwards, and you're going to have space, time to throw it and chip it right over their heads. And he's got to be able to take advantage of that. Jaden Daniels has got to be able to take advantage of that. And I think he will. I think we're going to see Daniels come good and really deliver for this team, because he delivered last year. He brought the magic back to LSU after 2 horrendous seasons. Jaden Daniels did some epic, unforgettable things at LSU. But to me, he's got such a chance here, such an opportunity here to win a national championship at LSU, to follow right there behind the footsteps of Joe Burrow's transfer quarterback, to come in 2 years to develop and to become something special. And in a different way too, a way different way than Joe Burrow. But it's not like saying it's not as effective as Joe Burrow. Maybe it's not as explosive or as crazy voluminous stats just yet. But who's to say he couldn't throw 50 touchdowns or some crazy shit like that with this receiving core? I mean, that's nuts to say, but you're playing 15 games to win a national championship. All those receivers and tight ends and some of the running backs, I mean, really LSU, if their offense would throw caution, this caution to the wind, and stop being so damn conservative, I mean, like we're more conservative than Sean Hannity at the CPAC convention. Like, I mean, like the way we run our offense, it's just not as it's not really what you'd want to see. You want to see this offense just dial it up and just cut some throats when you got guys like Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. that can beat DBs in a number of ways. They don't just have to out jump guys or burn guys over the middle or be deceptive in their route running. They can do everything, and then they can just be just straight up stronger than these DBs. And yeah, Brian Thomas Jr. had some drops. Brian Thomas Jr. has not been looking his best in fall camp. But I think if he actually gets the targets this season and you actually try and get the best out of this kid finally, maximize him finally instead of giving, someone like Kyron Lacy something like 60, 70, 80 targets this season, you give him maybe like 50 targets and then you give someone like Brian Thomas Jr. 65, 70, I think you will really reap the benefits out of that because he's just so explosive after the catch as well. And we haven't seen that with Brian Thomas Jr. We've seen him make some crazy catches, some other things, but like outside of that one screen from Garrett Nussmeier, we just have not seen him really explode after the catch. We haven't really seen him being given opportunities to do that. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, this was an interesting fall camp. Puts LSU in a good position, but there's still some worries for me. Mason Smith did not participate. That's just you just never know. You just never know. We're gonna have to really take it easy with him. We're gonna have to really work him back. I think it's a mental thing as well as a physical thing. And it's not just because he tore his ACL. It's how he tore his ACL. He tore his ACL celebrating. I mean, that would fuck with you so bad sometimes, in my opinion. Like, it would really mess with you. Like, this could happen at any moment. It's not like I was, making this crazy play and, my ankle, my knee was shredded apart, something like that. He was just like jumping in the air, fist pumping, and just like, it was crazy. I think that would mess with you, don't you think? Don't you think that would just absolutely make you second guess your movements and wonder where you should put your feet and maybe even kind of drag your feet a little? Like, just as a former youth athlete, it kind of really makes me worried about, I mean, how can we use Mason Smith in the best way to protect himself, but also get him back into the playing football? And you're gonna get hit. You're going to be the one hitting people. So, for his sake, the best way we can get him back into this is hopefully have him twist from DT outside to the edge. Have Ovi from Jack linebacker just come in and just smash the left tackle right in the fucking face and drive him right into the left guard in the center, which is also being destroyed by Mekhi Wingo. And then have Mason Smith go around like that right into the quarterback's face and just destroy the quarterback. Just like that, to me, is the way you get Mason Smith back, is just get him a big-time sack quick in the first game against Jordan Travis in Florida State. Just get him a sack right out of the gate. Because it sucks that we weren't able to see Mason Smith come out there and hear about him getting 2 or 3 sacks and batting some passes and stuff like that, because that's what he should be doing. He should be playing games right now for LSU. He's missed a ton of games for LSU. Let's literally look up how many games he's missed for LSU. I swear to God we wrote it somewhere. Yeah, our return of Mason Smith 2023 LSU Odyssey profile, because I wanted to know how many possible games he missed. Because I'm thinking, like, how many games did he miss that he possibly could have played in? Let's see here. Deshaun Womack, he made some good pressures today. I think he had like 3 pressures, someone told me, but he didn't make any sacks that they remembered. At least, this is different. They're not sacking the quarterback. They're just running up to him. They're blowing it dead. So sometimes someone misses the play. Some guy's running into their butt with a thing of popcorn or something. Like some alumni guy. You miss a play for a second. Hell, where did I put that? Yeah, I swear to God, he's missed a lot. I mean, just because, okay, 14 games, 13 games this last season. Well, let's say 14 because he barely played the Florida State game. So 14. He missed every game. Let's just say that. He got 14. And then on the back end against in his first season, games he missed. So he missed. Yeah, they don't have the bowl game that he also played in because he played in that game, the game against Kansas State. So 3, 6, 7. He played in 8 games, so he missed 5 games that season. So Mason Smith has missed basically 19 games for LSU. 19 games. I knew the answer would be horrifying, but just to hear it out loud right there. Mason Smith has missed 19 games in his LSU career, and we're counting the Florida State game. We're counting it. We know he played a drive and whatever. We're counting the game because he missed the game too. Getting hurt in the first drive, he was dominant right out of the gates, and then just that play happens and he's done after like 5 plays. It was 8 plays. It was a joke. It was terrible. It was almost like a comedy. Like, is this a joke? Is he faking this? Right? He's gonna pretend like he tore his ACL. Like there's no way he just tore his ACL. Right? There's no way. Yep, it's a nightmare. Micaiah Wingo came in and became an All-American. That's LSU, baby. That's LSU. And so now you got Jacoby and Guillory coming into a fall camp scrimmage, getting a lot of reps as that starter with the ones. With Micaiah Wingo. I mean, that's got to feel good for Jacoby and Guillory. That's got to feel great for him. Someone who's been waiting 4 damn years for this opportunity. 4 seasons. Jacoby and Guillory's in his 4th season. Part of the 2020 class. It's crazy. Jacoby and Guillory, I thought, would have transferred twice at this point already. 4 times? I mean, sorry, 4 years? 4 years at LSU? Jacoby and Guillory, I mean, is this the chance for him to come in and kind of like, you're going to have to play a big role against Florida State while we, rotate Mason Smith in? Maybe that's going to be the way they're going to get Mason Smith back is rotate him in against Florida State, rotate him in against Grambling, let him play a lot more against Grambling, though, kind of just get that going, and then sit him most of the second half against Grambling when we get that big lead. And then against Mississippi State, it's where you really want him to start playing those starters reps. I mean, that could be the pathway forward. Is it Mississippi State we play third? I'm talking out of my ass if I'm just saying that. Let's look at the schedule here. Yeah, it's Mississippi State. So we go Florida State, Grambling State at home, Mississippi State on the road, Arkansas at home, back to back. That's nuts. At Ole Miss. I believe at Missouri. Yep. Mekhi Wingo goes back home. They don't come to Baton Rouge. He's having to go back home. That's going to be a crazy game for Mekhi on the 7th. That's going to be a crazy game for Mekhi Wingo on the 7th. I'm just like transfixed by the schedule. The schedule is just full of absolute, just it's kind of terrifying to look at, really. For this, I mean, let me just say this. I know we really want to believe LSU is going to win a national championship this season, and I want to believe that too. And I feel that that's going to be true, right? I feel like that has to be possible, right? And it seems possible with all this talent, layers of depth, guys that we haven't even seen scratch the surface of their potential. I mean, it's some of these guys could be so good, it's frightening. LSU has like 8 or 9 running backs who could be absolute superstars on this team. We have like 8 or 9 receivers who could be superstars on this team. I just want to see us have an offense that can get these guys in football nonstop over and over and over and over and over. An offensive line that can withstand the best of the best out there. You saw Lance Hurd come in at right tackle and they kicked Emory Jones in at left guard. But like this defense with this secondary, I know they showed up today. I know they played well today, but like if they even have a few more injuries too, I mean, it's so thin. If linebacker has a few injuries, if we can get Harold Perkins, Omar Spates, or Greg Penn, any 3 of those guys hurt, you're screwed at linebacker. If you get one of the Weeks brothers hurt at linebacker, you're killing your depth. You're killing like your rotational talent that can come in there and really support your starters, or even come in and start for a game for you. You know, like you're killing yourselves at in the secondary. And at linebacker, in my opinion, you're really short. Defensive end is even short, you could say. Jack linebacker. If there's only a few injuries there, you're probably going to have to move Harold Perkins to defensive end or Jack linebacker. Like, that's what we're looking at here. So LSU got to be really smart, really, like, that's what I think the scrimmage is about, is just being careful. But, like, here's the thing. We haven't seen LSU really tackling that much in fall camp. We haven't seen LSU really hitting that much in fall camp, except for these, few little moments here, few practices, few periods of the practices, and it's been probably about 6 or 7 of these total. And there's been some light hitting, some light work like that. Some what is it called? Dump hitting, something like that. I can't remember the lingo for that right now, but usually it's that type of hitting. And I get it, but you got to be good and you got to be ready to tackle in the first game. And we were not ready to tackle against Florida State last year. If we're not ready to tackle against Florida State this season, they're going to put up a shit ton of yards on us. Jordan Travis carved us up on critical downs last season. Just carved us up. Passing the ball, running the ball with his own legs, the check downs, get everybody to back off. There's a huge just circle of space right in the middle of the field to some guy. Like, I mean, he was making some crazy throws on us. And a lot of those guys are gone now. Jay Ward, Kai Garner, Jarek Bernard Converse. There's a lot of guys who played in that Florida State game who are there no more. Joe Fuchsia. Wait, no, sorry, Joe Fuchsia wasn't there. He was suspended. But how will Greg Brooks Jr. at nickel really be for LSU? Because he allowed the most catches of anybody on LSU's defense last season. Greg Brooks Jr. So, he could be picked on some big plays. He could miss some big tackles and some big moments. He could, there's a few times where I think against Florida State last season, he had Jordan Travis in his hands for a brilliant sack and could not bring him down. And Travis got to like the no gain line. And so it basically took a sack away from Ojulari. And took a sack away from Greg Brooks Jr. in the first place because he absolutely missed the dude. He overruns the angles at times. You saw him miss some tackles in the spring game. You saw him miss some tackles today. You saw Major Burns miss one on a big play downfield. You saw some guys that were making some awesome plays defensively too, though. Sage Ryan made a few big-time tackles. You saw Omar Speights play fantastic over the middle. Omar Speights looks really good. Omar Speights made a really sick pass breakup where he clapped it up in the air. And I think if one of the defenders had actually kind of sold out and dove for that ball, he would have intercepted the ball. But he didn't. It's very strange. Just kind of waltzed up there and watched the ball go to the ground and just got absolutely reamed by defensive coaches. What are you doing? Dive for that. What the hell are you doing? It's true. It's basically what I was thinking. Like, what the hell is he doing? Jump for that. The ball's there to be had. You know, like it was annoying. You know, Jaylen Brown had a big day today. He got going with a few big catches. I think he had a third down catch as well. You know, it was only 24 yards, 3 catches. You know, that's basically what we're looking at, is some little, just throw it to here, rush it here, get a few yards to this guy here. Like Hilton, 11 yards, 1 catch. Brown, 24 yards, three catches. Trey Holly, 3 rushing yards, 1 target. You know, 10 rushing yards for Bradford. You know, it's just little here and there. You know, still effective, still trying to get guys reps, but I'm just very worried that this offense, this team, has not been kind of like getting the ball out enough, feeding guys enough to get them in a rhythm with their quarterbacks, because simply there's so many candidates for positions, which is great, but you really need that core 4 or 5 guys that you really are just going to continuously feed game after game after game. That you got to have that. And I mean, maybe you could even argue 3, those 3 guys in each position that you're going to feed every game. And then okay, we can get, you know, reps to these other guys, but really it has to be these 3. And I think they have to do that for every goddamn skill position. At receiver, you got to pick your 3. At running back, you got to pick your 3, and you can't just give like 3 carries to every damn person on the team. It's never going to turn into offensive success. You've got to get guys in a rhythm and get them going and ride that horse, ride that train. And then you can bleed that defense dry by introducing all these other dudes they have no concept of. Oh, you thought you couldn't stop Malik Neighbors, you couldn't stop Kyron Lacey, say, tearing him up that game. Well, here's comes Aaron Anderson in the slot. You know, like try this on for size. You couldn't stop Brian Thomas Jr. Well, try Jaylen Brown on for size. You couldn't stop Mason Taylor. Well, here's Kamorion Pimpton. Good luck. Good luck. Go read a book. There's so many offensive options that it's so impressive, it's bountiful, but we've been talking about this for a few years at LSU. Sometimes having so many offensive options, you pick the wrong ones, you ignore the others, and you never understand what you've got because you haven't experimented enough. You haven't given guys enough reps. And that's why you saw what they're doing today, where they're giving everyone a little chance here and wanting to see what they're going, what they got going, and see them in a game context, so to speak. So, you know, I just I want the season to start right now so damn bad. Let me give you some of this info that we got. You know, John Emery Jr. and Denver Harris were both at the 3rd team offense and the 3rd team defense. So Denver Harris was back, as we reported very, very, very quickly there in the morning before the scrimmage had even began. We were reporting that. Deveris was warming up out there, so it was good to be able to report that he was back. John Army Jr. was the third team running back. Um, no word on what he did. No word on what he got. Absences for the game. Okay, Mason Smith, as we said, he was working out on a bike. He was dressed, but he just did not participate. Kylan Jackson, though, more of a worry. Mac Markway, someone who was really damn good throughout fall camp, now back on a bike early in that game. Don't like to see it. Don't like to see it. He's such a talent. Kamorion Pimpton as well, another tight end talent. Both those guys out. And then, Sage Ryan goes out, but he told me verbatim, I'm okay, sir. So, yeah, he's okay. Unless he's lying. So you got really balanced. Kai Preen, 12 yards, one catch. I mean, people are going crazy about him on, like, all over. You know, Kai Preen, Kai Preen, Kai Preen, Kai Preen. I mean, he didn't, like, explode today, but he has such an interesting athletic profile. He's really robust, really, really small, kind of a little bull. I shouldn't say small. It's kind of a stupid thing to say with his height, but like I don't know how to explain it. He's like over 200 pounds. He's just really hard to handle. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain Kai Preen's athleticism. His measurables are ridiculous, though. I think, let's see how tall he is. I'm confused by his height right here. He looks like he's smaller than he actually is. He's probably like 6'2" or something, and I'm going to look stupid now. No, he's only 6 feet, so yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm thinking more of his high school tape with his height, though, too, because especially that 2019 St. James season. If he was part of that, yeah, I think he would be, yeah. Kai Perrine, though, 202 pounds. He is just some ridiculous. Clocked a 10.94 in the 100 and 21.7 in the 200 in track. Good Lord. Had 14 touchdowns in one season as a sophomore at Ascension Catholic. Ridiculous. Filthy. 14 touchdowns as a senior at St. James. Averaged 18 per catch. So, once again, sorry, my nose is itching really bad. I just had to do it. I know I shouldn't do it. I just had to itch my nose. I just had to. Kai Preen is just another weapon of many. Shelton Sampson had a great day, too. Shelton Sampson, Latoya, who might be his mom, I'm not sure. Latoya Sampson is a subscriber of ours. That was awesome to see a Sampson subscribing to LSUODYSSEY.com. Thank you, Latoya. Shelton had, I think, 3 big catches today for like maybe 11 yards, 13 yards is what I was told both times. And so they were kind of picking on Greg Brooks Jr. And I'm trying to think of who was the second team nickelback. It was not Chad Kroger. That's the singer of Nickelback. Maybe it was Tobiano? There's a lot of depth and a lot of talent on this team across the board. But you see that there's a lack of depth at certain parts that are just really concerning. Linebacker, to me, I know no one's talking about it, but I feel like linebacker is one that is really worrisome. No one's thinking about it, but I think if Harold Perkins, Omar Spades go down, everything changes overnight. Everything changes. What the hell do you do then? If just Omar Spades and Greg Penn go down, not Harold, still everything changes at linebacker. There's so many concerns in the secondary. How are those pieces going to fit? How is the jigsaw going to look? How quickly are they going to be able to put this together? Is it still going to take more time? Sage Ryan at corner, Denver Harris third team, um, Zy Alexander balling, looking really good, but it's just a very strange situation. Andre Sam, a transfer coming from Tulane, starting at safety with Major Burns. It's speaking of which, Major Burns. Let's talk about him. He's a guy who's missed a lot of football too. He's had a lot of injuries too, but he's also made some sick ass plays. He always plays 100%. He's always flying around at the ball. He's had an interception in his first season at LSU. I really love to watch Major Burns play the game. Major Burns was awesome against Georgia. Let's don't pretend that Major Burns had an injury and then kind of fell off. Major Burns had an injury last season, yes, but he was awesome against Florida State in that huge pinnacle game before the injury. And then another game that comes to my mind is the game against Georgia. He goes back to his former school that he transferred away from and absolutely tears it up. Has 8 tackles, absolutely destroys people. Great game for Major Burns in that game inside Mercedes-Benz Dome. We were there. We saw it firsthand, and watching Major Burns fly around like that in the live was pretty impressive. I'll just say that. It was really cool to be able to see his family after the game and be like, that dude is a dog. Like, he's a freak. We have some comments. Persistent Jordan says, is Sage out against Florida State? Persistent, I can't really say one way or the other because Sage tells me he's okay. The injury from a lot of people said it looked bad. The film of the scrimmage, I never got footage of his injury. I never got footage of the moment where he's hurt. But everyone's saying his arm looked messed up. He's saying he's okay. Someone close to him was telling me that, it was just a stinger. He's fine. So there's a few people who have already said that he's good. He's okay. So, yeah. Out against Florida State, I would doubt that. That's, it's clear till September 4th. So there's like just over 2 weeks. 2 weeks and a day, really, until the game. So I think even if he had suffered a little bit of something, he'd be fine. We really need him. I mean, like, here's the thing is, this is a guy that can play corner, nickel, or safety. You can't get any more valuable with this defense this season right now, right here. I mean, people forget that Sage Ryan forced 2 fumbles last season, recovered 2 fumbles last season. He had that sick pass breakup on a 4th and goal where Florida State were about to bury us before half. Breaks the ball up, doesn't get credit for it though. Officially only has 1 pass breakup on the season, but there's at least 3 or 4 other ones, including one where he batted the ball up in the air to Quad Wilson, who picked it off. So right there, he directly contributed 4 turnovers. He's basically had 5 in a way, but we didn't recover the fumble from the 2 against Alabama, sadly. But he's a playmaker. We got to have him on the field. We got to have him healthy. You don't want to see injuries take away another season from him, especially what he was. It feels like something's building for him. Last season he took his lumps, he kind of rose, and now you really want to see it all come together. Yes, he'll probably get beaten on a few routes as he adjusts to corner. Yes, he might allow a touchdown here or there. But I think the playmaking is going to allow, and I mean, he's just the best option. He's the best option, clearly, defensively, athletically. This is a dude who has a ceiling that is boundless, if you really look at it. And if you really give him the football, too, if you let him play special teams as well. Persistent Jordan says, I'm hearing Daryl Jackson for Florida State University is about to get his waiver overturned. Who's that? I don't even know who that is. I'm so, like, all I care about is LSU, man. So I'm like, who's Daryl Jackson, and what do you mean? Is he going to play for Florida State against us, or he won't be, or doesn't really mind me. Cordell Music says, how do you feel about John not getting a carry even though he was out there? That's weird. Playing for the third team too. I think behind Kane, he's your second team running back with who's out there, who's available. Josh Williams, of course, no one's talking about was Williams there. I haven't heard one thing about Josh Williams. I mean, I haven't heard one thing about Armani Goodwin. Let me just send some texts out real quick and just ask some people, did Armani Goodwin participate? What's up, Harold? I just saw your text, Harold. How you doing, brother? Mr. Harold Hibbard watching us. King Pope, Mr. Flex in the house. How you doing, brother? Jarrett sending me texts about I can't take the shit talking from Knoll fans another year. We can't let Jarrett lose this damn game. We cannot. I mean, we cannot. C Trey 193 says, "What did you think about Caleb Jackson's big day, dude? If they can't stop him, you gotta start him. If they can't stop him, you gotta start him. If you build it, he will come. If Caleb Jackson can't be stopped in games, playing against guys who are older than him, bigger than him, you gotta play the kid. You gotta play the kid." Persistent Jordan says KD will be buried in the depth chart until someone goes down. I heard he looked great though. You don't know that though, because yeah, he might be like fourth, fifth running back week one, but say in the second quarter, third quarter, they give him the ball and he goes off for 44 yards, and he like absolutely deletes a few guys on his way. Well, now he moves up a few places. Like I think that's all it's going to take for some of these guys is just a few of these plays, and then they're boom, 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 boom. Especially when Brian Kelly and Denbrock and them finally understand how fast a guy like Jaylen Brown is, how all around impressive a guy like Kyle Parker can be. Giving them a ball a few times here and there in fall camp, you're just not going to understand that. I think it's going to take a game. Cordell Music says Diggs, Williams, and Goodwin was out today. Wow. I mean, that's Josh Williams just keeps. It seems the second he's back, he's right back out, doesn't it? Doesn't it, Cordell? I mean, Josh Williams was not a part of the names that I got. Neither was Diggs. Neither was Goodwin. But it was like I bet all three of them were out as well because I just didn't hear anything about them getting the ball. And Caleb Jackson was getting the ball, so it was like, what's going on here? But that's what's going on there. All three are out. 1 second. 3 of our 8 running backs are out. Whatever will LSU do? Whatever will LSU do? Well, looks like our freshman just put up a 100-yard game. Trey193 says, "Do you think the offense will be even more dependent on RPOs this season?" I think we have to be. Because it's just it exploits a defense too. It's almost too easy. And I think we didn't run enough of them. What we were doing last year was we weren't really running RPOs. We were having a guy next to Jaden in the shotgun, and Jaden would just snap the ball, kind of look around, and then make a decision. Or make a non-throwing decision and just kind of scrambling around and not really looking downfield, and then throwing kind of a weird pass that would get like 2 yards. It's like the guy right out of bounds or something. Very strange. I don't know. Sorry, I'm asking people about them, and yeah, everyone's saying, of course, they weren't there. Confirming what you just said and confirming what isn't obvious. Crazy. It just seems like those guys cannot stay healthy. Goodwin cannot seem to stay healthy. We've seen him running the ball in fall camp, but he doesn't seem to really stay healthy. Logan Diggs came in hurt already. Haven't really seen him. Josh Williams, even though he represented us at SEC Media Days, and you like to have him be your starter. Great story and a great running back. He was actually even better on 3rd and long last season. I'm not kidding. Look it up. 3rd and 18 against Arkansas. I don't know why we're handing the ball off. Just a totally conservative call. But he gets 18 yards or something like 23 on the play. Gets us the first down. Like, he had so many first down gains on third and long. I would look it up right now live on air just to prove it to you, but I don't think you want to watch me do that. That's how we do our articles. Very tedious. But going through play-by-play, he had so many 3rd and longs last season. So, I mean, like, Josh Williams runs with an iron will. You want to see him be a part of the team. It sucks to see these guys all hurt. Diggs, Goodwin. Goodwin could be the best running back on the team if healthy. 5 touchdowns last year in 7 games. It was ridiculous. He was so damn good. Persistent Jordan says, "How much do you think FSU wins by?" Really? Persistent Jordan? Maybe it's more like pathetic Jordan. Is this Jordan Travis's burner? Are you Jordan Travis's burner? How much do you think FSU wins by? Oh my God, what a stupid FSU troll. But, here's the thing. You guys won the game last year because we missed an extra point, and you guys let us tie the game that you had complete control of, having to go 99 yards in like a minute and 5 seconds or something like that. And the kid who fumbled twice earlier in the game was the guy who caught like the first 2 third down completions on your ass. So, like, if you want to brag, the game last year is not the one to brag about. Brag about having a badass like Peter Warrick, who was a legend on your team, in your program history. Brag about your national titles. Brag about your, crazy records that Florida State was doing in the 90s, and how you stole Warwick Dunn from Louisiana. But bragging about last season's win is just not where it is, man. Mason Smith went down. Harold Perkins didn't play. Like, get serious, bro. Just those 2 guys right there, damn well that changes the game. Don't tell me Harold Perkins not being on that field doesn't change that game. It does. Mason Smith being on the field in that game wouldn't have changed that game. You saw what he was doing to your offensive line. It looked like what Jared Verse, your guy, was doing to ours. So I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think Florida State are going to punch LSU in the mouth. LSU is going to be tested again and again and again. But we're going to be testing Florida State right back. And I think LSU are going to put up a lot of points in this game. I think Florida State are going to put up a lot of points in this game. I think both teams are going to be sloppy defensively, but we're going to also make some mistakes offensively too. We're gonna really let Florida State, I think, get a lead on us in that first half. Then you're going to see LSU get another comeback victory. I think LSU will win this game, and I think we're going to win this game by 8 or 9 in that region, maybe 10 even. We're going to win it by 2 scores, but just barely 2 scores. Like, touchdown and a field goal would surpass the lead, but or tie it. But other than that, like, not quite a 2-score win, but basically technically. And it's going to be a shootout, something like a 44, 30, 44-31 type of game, something like that, like an 11-point win, something like that. That sounds about right. So that's how much Florida State's going to lose by. Cordell Music says if it was an actual game, everyone that was out would have played. Maybe. That could be, I mean, Mason Smith, I could buy that with him. The running backs, some of them, I'm not too sure. I mean, they keep going back and forth. But, it could also just be Kelly being way cautious about the injuries, which I think might come back to bite us. I think he's being a little too cautious about the injuries, a little too cautious about the tackling. C-Trey193 says, do you think this is finally Chris Hilton's breakout year? Man, that's a damn good question. That's a damn good question, Trey. We all would hope it would be. We all know what he can do with the football in his hands. He's got that state champion track speed. I've seen him have some drops. I've seen him have some brilliant plays downfield. I've seen him take some wicked hits and hold on to the ball. I've seen him also get it jarred loose. I've seen him look a little raw, route running wise, not really quite able to fight off a corner in a duel. LT Welch was winning those duels, in that spring game as well. So you've seen a lot of footage where he's getting better. We just don't know if this is going to be the year. There's guys in front of him, there's guys behind him that really they look better right now. But I will say this. If I were to have one of those third-year guys, either Brian Thomas Jr. or Chris Hilton Jr., catch a game-winning pass right now, I'm going to choose Chris Hilton Jr. because I trust his hands more. Seriously, some of the drops from Brian Thomas Jr. were shocking. C-Trade193, I think a healthy Harold Perkins makes a major difference against FSU. He was healthy. He was just playing special teams because he was a true freshman and it was his first game and they were dumb and they didn't understand what they had. It was Mason Smith who got hurt. Harold Perkins was fine. They just didn't play him. He actually got a flag on special teams for punching some dude. Persistence Jordan said, I'd say by 17. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. FSU should have won by 20 last year. And you just said coulda, shoulda, woulda. And then said FSU should have won by 20 last year. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, man. We fumbled on the 1 yard line, about to go up by 2 touchdowns with under 2 minutes. Yeah, because my man Mekhi Wingo took it from your soul. Missed opportunities let LSU come back into the game. Yeah, they did. But it was also because of great playmaking from LSU's guys. Sage Ryan on that 4th and goal right before half, breaking the ball up. That's one of those plays. Mekhi Wingo taking the ball from them, recovering that fumble. Malik Neighbors, Jeray Jenkins making big catches on that final drive. Mason Taylor jumping out of bounds, preserving one more untimed down instead of trying to go for the glory play, which maybe he would have gotten, but maybe he doesn't. And I don't think he has the speed to make it, actually. I think if he was a bit faster, yeah, he would have made it because he's big enough and tall enough to sprawl out there and get through. But was he fast enough to get there? I don't think so. Thank God he was fast enough to get out of bounds because LSU were then able to get within one with that touchdown pass to Jeray Jenkins. Had we been able to just make the damn PAT, who knows how that game would have finished? Because it was already a great game. I think it was going to be turning into an epic masterpiece. Had we make that PAT and that thing goes into overtime and it's just Daniels versus Travis, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. How fun would that have been? And we're going to get to see a full game of that in just 2 weeks' time. So all this talking, all this Florida State, yeah, Florida State, we can kick your ass. No, bro. You can't stop the heart of a tiger. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Today, I think this is great for LSU to be able to see what a large variety of guys can do, both on offense and defense. But does it really tell us that LSU are ready for the live bullets in Week 1 against Florida State? I think we're going to see against Florida State a crazy competitive game, a shootout type of game. I think LSU are going to win that game and get through and be okay and get revenge. But how it happens, why it happens, who is going to be the guys making those plays to seal that deal, you're going to have to look at LSUODYSSEY.COM in the next week and a half, 2 weeks before this game to find out, because we've got a good, really good pulse right now after watching this scrimmage on who can really deliver for this team. I think there's a lot of guys that people are actually overlooking. But thank you so much for watching, everybody, and continue to tune in and continue to check out the LSU scrimmage updater, because we actually will continue to update it. And no, we did not share everything that happened in the scrimmage in this video. We only shared about half of what happened in the scrimmage in this video. The rest, go right to this link that we're putting in the comments section right now. This link will get you all of the information right there. Go to that link right there in the comments section. You will get it all. $4 a month, $10 a year to get info that On3 don't even have, such as Sage Ryan's injury was nothing. And that's just one example of 365 days a year that we do this. So thank you, everybody. It's always a pleasure to talk to my audience, talk to my readers, talk to my viewers. Fucking love you guys, gals, and everyone. Don't let anybody tell you how to be, how to feel, what to say. Be you. Respect and love yourselves and everyone around you. Love your family. Love your people.